This is the TOFU acrylic keyboard from KBDfans. Let's get familiar with it. Well, it's finally here, guys. The question you guys have been asking the most on my Instagram almost every single day: what is the TOFU acrylic keyboard and how do I get it? Well, I'm here to explain all the parts that go inside of it, as well as how to get it. And for anyone who's not familiar with the TOFU acrylic keyboard, it's basically an underglow keyboard that gets diffused by some frosted acrylic, but I will go through everything in the specs here in a second, so let's get familiar with all of that. So the board consists of a few things. Number one, the case. The case is going to be that frosted acrylic case, that iconic RGB look that you guys get. And next we get the PCB. So the PCB in this case here is the DC60 from KBDfans. Now, for the sake of this video, I will only be talking about the soldered version, or the ones that you can only get from KBDfans, but there are other options. For example, 1UP Keyboards sells a hot swap version of it, so I do recommend checking them out if you guys did want to get a hot swap version, but again, in this case here, only soldered. So after that, guys, we got the stabilizers. The stabilizers are what's going to cause the spacebar, shift, and other larger keys not to shake and wobble. Now, I prefer the GMK screw-in stabilizers. Some people use cherry stabilizers, which clip in. Some people go all out and get Zeal stabilizers. That's actually going to be in my next few builds. I will be using Zeal ones. But in this case here, guys, I will only be choosing things that you guys can get from KBDfans. So next we have my favorite part about building a keyboard, which is picking your switches. Now, the switches I like might not be for everyone else, so this is going to be more personal preference. And if you guys would like to see other switches being tested on the show, please let me know in the comments below and I will do my best in getting some. So next, guys, we have plates. Plates are going to be in different varieties and styles, so you can get things with different layouts, different materials like brass, aluminum, carbon fiber, even polycarbonate. Now this is going to be mostly up to you which kind of style you like. It does change the sound a little bit as well as the weight. I tend to go with brass plates just because I like the way they sound more. As you can see, this is going to be more of a personal preference along the kind of entire spectrum of this. So you can see we're entering a theme here of customizing your own keyboard and making it personal to you. And next we're going to top this with keycaps. Now this is strictly personal choice. Now there is some differences like SA profile, cherry profile. I've explained that in one of my last videos. This does affect sound a little bit as well as the way it feels and what you're comfortable typing on. For example, a DSA layout will be a little bit flatter. Cherry profiles tend to be what everyone kind of leans towards. SA has more of a hollow, very sharp sound to it. I know I've done a sound test with Telios and my SA on my Instagram, so if you guys do want to check that out, it's an older post. You might have to dig through some stuff, but I did do a sound test there. So the keyboard's essentially an entry-level keyboard in which you can get it pre-assembled by KBDfans, or you can actually get it in a do-it-yourself kit and order all the parts yourself. And when I say entry-level, I mean that very loosely. The reason why I say that is just because it's very easy to get your hands on, and on top of that, it's really easy to build in. So now that we know what it is, let's take a closer look at it and let's dig into the pros and the cons and how I feel about it all. And when I mean cons, guys, I really had to dig for them. It's a really well-built keyboard for the price. So let's dig right into the pros. So I own 3 of these keyboards. So one I actually gave to my brother's wife. She's using it right now and she absolutely loves it. That was the first one I ever got. The other 2 are here with me. One I use on the daily basis when I'm taking photos for Instagram, even just as my daily driver sometimes. And the other one actually my dad's using right now. On all 3 of them, the case and the finish of the case has been absolutely outstanding. So there hasn't been any flaws at all. And one thing I can really appreciate about that is acrylic can scratch up pretty easily if you're not careful. And I do want to note that none of these were actually sent to me as a test or cherry picked. These were actually all blind purchases that I made from KBDfans over the course of 6 or 7 months, and building inside of them was an absolute joy. What's really nice to see is the finish actually, when it's done correctly, really makes the keyboard pop. And it diffuses it really, really well. And you can actually see that even just when I'm holding it up, even though there's studio lights around me. That's one really, really nice thing about this, and I really, really appreciate that. So we're gonna dig into one con, one pro, we're gonna do that. One con I can say about the finish is if your hands are oily, it does leave fingerprints on the actual acrylic finish. You might not be able to see, but for example, this one here gets picked up a lot. This one here does actually have a little bit of fingerprints in the bottom. I know one of my other friends did order one and his hands get pretty oily and he has a few marks on the bottom of his, so that's one thing to look out for. Just clean it, handle it with care. I do recommend just wiping it down with like a microfiber cloth every now and then. It seems to get rid of some of those smudges. Will it affect the lighting at all? Not that I've seen. You can really only tell that when you hold it up and really take a good look at it. So the next pro is gonna be for the do-it-yourselfers. So this board was actually really easy to build in. And what I mean by that is you just grab your PCB, add your stabs, you can clip them, lube them, whatever you guys wanna do. Put your plate and switches on, solder them, hot swap, whatever you guys wanna do again. screw it into the keyboard and then plug a USB in and you're ready to go. So that's what makes it really, really nice about that. You don't have to unscrew the actual case. You don't have to mount it in any funny way. So another con is, and again, I'm really reaching here, is actually the cutout on the back of this thing, where the USB actually goes in, isn't always the most fun to deal with. And the reason why I say that is because it's actually a pretty large cutout, and you can sometimes potentially miss or slip and not actually get it in. But again, that's only when you're actually just reaching around your keyboard and trying to plug in the USB. I actually just grab the keyboard, turn it around, plug in the USB, it's plugged in, it works. Now with a lot of the other keyboards I own, and again, I'm comparing it to higher end models, that actually has kind of a grooved input, so it's really easy just to feel it out if you don't want to turn your keyboard around. But again, I'm really reaching for a con here. Between that and some of the smudging, it's really the only cons about the case. But past the pros and cons, guys, this keyboard is one of my favorites on my shelf. I do use it every now and then. I mostly use the Rambo right now, but this is definitely a close second. I do like the cherry profile keycaps a little bit more on them in terms of sound and just my typing experience, but everyone's different. I know the SA keycaps have more of a pinging sound. I really enjoyed building in this thing. I just really enjoy the whole aesthetic of the TOFU keyboard. It's one of those keyboards where it just kind of sits there and it just looks pretty all the time. And if you guys are into that whole RGB craze, this is definitely the keyboard for you. So as I mentioned, there was two ways to buy this keyboard. One, pre-assembled. Two, do it yourself. And again, I'll have links and stuff in my description below on the YouTube video with kind of all the descriptions and whatnot of what part goes where, and that's gonna be on alexphotos.com. I'll link you directly to that webpage. So you might be asking what the difference is. Well, the pre-assembled version I'm gonna strongly recommend for people who are getting into the hobby and who don't feel comfortable soldering. And the reason why I say that is because they do it all for you at KBDfans. You can customize everything on the webpage, like I said. And when you're going through that pre-assembled kind of layout they have on their checkout system there, you notice things like case color, and there'll be a wide variety of them. You're gonna pick a frosted acrylic if you want the RGB. And then you pick your choice of plate, stabilizer, switches, and all that other kind of good stuff. There is gonna be a layout there as well. Now I use layout 2, which seems to be the most common layout that people use. You can pick different layouts if it's your preference. Just make sure you pick something, that way they know what to build you. And as a note, guys, because I get this question a lot, when you pick your switches, it will add one more line into your cart with those switches and at a different price. It does state that in the drop-down menu that it will add more to it, but it doesn't do it on the page itself, it does it in the cart. So for example, if you're picking Gateron inks and there's an additional cost, that will show in the cart. Do not delete those, that's gonna be the switches, you need those to buy the keyboard. All right guys, so you're probably asking what do you do next? Well, you've picked it all out, you need to add some keycaps because it does not come with those for the pre-assembled version. So once you've added that, you can go to your cart, you'll be greeted with a discount code page. Now you can add code AlexPhotos for 3% off. I know it's not much, but hey, it's something. And then you can just order it, it shows up at your house, it's all good, you plug it in, it's working. I think by default it's gonna be on red RGB, so you can actually just change that with function W in my case, or whatever again you map it to. But then you're all good. Then you have the keyboard at your house and you can start using it. And again, guys, I just want to note that KBDfans does not lubricate switches. They only pre-lube and clip the actual stabilizers. So if you guys are looking for lubed switches and you guys don't go with the soldered version, or if you guys are doing just the do-it-yourself kit or the hot swap, my friends at Oramek are actually going to be opening soon, and they're going to have pre-lube switches, so you can avoid the whole, hey, I'm opening my key switches and I don't know how to do it. So they're going to be offering it straight from their website, so check them out. I believe they open on October 19th. I think they're going to be starting off with just 1 or 2 switches for now, and then it will progressively grow. Check them out, sign up now. I think they're offering some sort of contest when the actual store opens. I need to get more information from them too, but that's going to be another really good way you can kind of just avoid doing some of the do-it-yourself stuff. But if you guys are interested in the do-it-yourself stuff, I know he's also selling Krytox lube, which seems to be kind of sparse. Even I was trying to look for it the other day, and I need to get some more, and I couldn't find any for sale. I think only 1 or 2 retailers had it in stock. All right, guys, that's all I had for today. And if you guys did find this video helpful, like, subscribe, comment, do the whole YouTube thing, and let me know what type of video you guys want to see in the future, because I am looking to do some extra videos next week, maybe 2. But let me know, guys. Peace out.